members of the committee, applicants, agents, staff, and members of the public. I will be chairing the meeting tonight. MJ is online and will be addressing things from home. She is slightly under the weather, so we'll leave it like that. I now call the Committee of Adjustment meeting for September the 19th, 2024 to order. As this meeting is to be held virtually, I will remind you that the meeting will be recorded and streamed live on the County of Brant YouTube account. Any Committee of Adjustment members joining online should use the camera so that the applicants, agents, and members of the public can identify you, and should at any time we lose connection or have an interruption that affects quorum of the meeting, the committee, which I don't believe will be tonight, a recess of up to 15 minutes may occur. If quorum is not achieved, the meeting will be adjourned. Applicants, agents, owners, and delegations may also participate virtually. Please ensure that if you're virtual, that your screen displays your name correctly, your camera is off, and your microphone is on mute until you have to speak. Any public delegations will be given 10 minutes to speak to the current application that we're discussing. Any members of the public attending in person must complete the sign sheet at the back of the room there in order to receive notification of any of the information tonight. If you speak on any item, please come to the podium here at the front and speak into the microphone. Understand that your name will appear in the meeting minutes, and if you wish to receive a copy of the committee's decision, please contact the County of Brant Planning Department. This meeting is held in accordance with the provisions of the Planning Act, which requires the notice of public information meeting and public notice signs to be posted. The purpose of this meeting is to discuss minor variances and consent applications and provide those in attendance the opportunity to provide feedback. A copy of the meeting's agenda with all related materials is available on the County of Brant website. Once the presentation, public hearing, and question period is completed for each item, if the committee deems it appropriate, they will make a decision which is final following the 20-day appeal period. The order of the delegations are as follows: the planning staff report and recommendation, the applicant and agent presentation, questions and discussion, public comments, further questions for clarification, and a decision. All right, we're going to follow now the agenda. Item number 1, attendance. Please indicate by stating present if you are in attendance tonight. Mary Jane Brown?
Present.
Harry Emmett?
Present.
Yang Penang?
Present.
Rebecca Smith?
Present.
Steve Schmidt?
Present.
Bob Hamilton? Present. John Damus sends his regrets. He won't make it. All right, we will move on to item number 2 on the agenda, new business. And I will now turn this over to Kayla to provide some development planning staff updates.
Thank you. So before we get started this evening, I just want to introduce the committee to 3 of our friendly faces that are new here tonight. And so with us, we have our development planning student, Nagin. And then we have our 2 new junior planners. So we have Logan Key and Roxana Flores. And that's it for my staffing updates.
Thank you. We will now go on to item 3 of the agenda, approval of the agenda. We will move the approval agenda. Do any members have any items to add to the agenda? And may I request a mover and a seconder? Member Schmidt, seconder. Member Emmett.
It's moved by myself and seconded by Member Emmett that the agenda for the County of Brant Committee of Adjustment meeting on September 19th, 2024 be approved.
Thank you. Members, please indicate if you are in favor of this motion, starting with Member Emmett,
Yes.
Member Smith,
Yes.
Member Penang,
Yes.
Member Schmidt,
Yes.
Member Brown,
yes,
Member Hamilton, yes. The agenda has now been approved for this meeting tonight. Item number 4, declaration of pecuniary interests. Are there any members who would like to declare a conflict of interest on any of the items on the agenda tonight? If so, please indicate by stating your name, application number, and reason for conflict. Are there any? MJ? All right, appears to be no pecuniary interest problems tonight. Item 5, adoption of the minutes of the previous meeting on July the 18th, 2024. Do the committee members have any errors or omissions to note? And do we have a mover and a seconder on this motion? Any problems? Okay, looking for a mover. Member Penang, seconder. Member Smith.
Moved by myself and seconded by Member Smith that the minutes from the County of Brant committee meeting of adjustments of July 18th be approved.
Thank you. Members, please indicate if you're in favor of this motion. Member Emmett?
Yes.
Member Schmidt?
Yes.
Member Penang?
Yes.
Member Smith?
Yes.
Member Brown?
yes,
And Member Hamilton, yes. The minutes have been approved, and we will follow on to our next one, the public hearings for tonight. I will now introduce item 6.1, application B11-24-NM, and turn it over to staff for their presentation and report and recommendation.
Thank you. This is a consent application for a boundary adjustment. It's submitted by the Angus Group on behalf of the owner. The lands are located at 560 West Quarter Town Line Road, and the benefiting lands contain an existing dwelling, and the lands to be severed contain a septic system and shed, which is why this application is necessary. The lands are designated and zoned agricultural in the County of Brant official plan and zoning bylaw. This application is technical in nature and is proposing to sever approximately 1.8 hectares, shown in the blue on the screen, to accommodate the existing septic bed and shed located on the adjacent farms, which is at 375 3rd Concession Road. The proposal is consistent with the provincial policy statement in conformity with the growth plan, and conforms to the County of Brant official plan and zoning bylaw. Therefore, planning staff are recommending approval of consent B11-24-NM, subject to the attached conditions.
Do any of the members have questions on this application? Where's MJ? Okay, she's there. Appears to be no questions for the staff at the present time. Is the agent or applicant present for this presentation? And do they have any details they would like to submit? Would you come up here, Rashika, please? Just so everybody can hear you.
Good evening. My name is Ruchika Angrish from the Angus Group. I'm here to answer any questions the committee may have on this application.
Thank you. Any questions for the agent here? No, there appears to be nothing at this point. So, thank you.
Okay, thank you.
There's no public delegations for this one here, so we will go. Are there any final questions or comments to staff or the agent that the members would have for this application? Everything seems to be going well. All right. I now request a mover and seconder to put a motion forward for B11-24NM. Member Schmidt?
Moved by myself and second.
Look, yeah, any seconder? Member Penang?
The application be 11-24 noting the list of conditions.
Okay, with the conditions attached, right? Thank you. I will now call for the vote. Members, please indicate if you're in favor of the motion. Member Emmett?
Yes.
Member Schmidt?
Yes.
Member Penang?
Yes.
Member Smith?
Yes.
Member Brown?
Yes.
Member Hamilton, yes. Application B11-24 has been approved. I will now introduce item 6.2, application B7-24-KD, and turn it over to staff for the presentation, report, and recommendation.
Okay, thank you. This is a consent application proposing an easement for lands located at 20 and 44 Muir Road South by GSP Group on behalf of the owners. The lands are located at 20 and 44 Muir Road South and containing an existing precast industrial site, which includes offices, warehouse buildings, parking, and loading areas. The lands specific to the easement area are designated as employment and zoned agricultural employment, AE 29, which does permit the manufacturing and fabricating of metal and concrete products. This consent application is simply proposing the creation of reciprocal blanket easements between the lands of 20 and 44 Muir Road South, as the easement facilitates shared access to the entirety of both properties. The properties do currently function as one, and so for legal and business purposes, they are separate parcels, but this will ensure that they do have legal access between both lands. Planning staff are of the opinion that the proposal is consistent with the provincial policy statement, the official plan, and meets the intent of the zoning bylaw. Planning staff are recommending approval subject to the attached conditions.
Thank you. Do any of the members have questions to staff on this application for easements? If not, then I will say, is the agent or applicant present to make a presentation and add any details of the request? Please state your name and who you represent, please.
Great, thank you. Good evening. My name is Brandon Llewellyn. I'm the agent here with, I'm from GSP Group, excuse me. This is a pretty straightforward application. As Kayla mentioned, there's two existing properties. They function as one, but for legal and business purposes, they're held under two different ownerships. So this is really just to make sure all the paperwork's in order to allow the cross access between the two different properties. So we're in support of the staff report and the conditions proposed. So just happy to answer any questions.
Are there any questions to the agent from the members? No, it doesn't appear. Thank you.
Thank you.
I don't believe there's a public delegation to speak to this. All right, seems to be no public delegation. Are there any final questions or comments to either staff or the agent from the members? No, doesn't appear to be. Then I request a mover and a seconder to put forward a motion for B7-24-KD. Member Smith, looking for a seconder. Member Emmett.
I'll make a motion to approve B7-24 as the application is consistent with PPS and the growth plan, as well as general compliance with the official plan and zoning bylaw.
Thank you very much. I will now call for a vote. Members, please indicate if you are in favor of the motion. Member Emmett?
Yes.
Member Schmidt?
Yes.
Member Penang?
Yes.
Member Smith?
Yes.
Member Brown?
Yes.
Member Hamilton, yes. The motion has been passed and the application is accepted on B7-24-KD. I will now introduce item 6.3, application B824-DN, and turn it over to staff for the presentation and report on the for recommendations.
Okay, thank you. This is also a consent application for lands located at 356 and 358 Bishopsgate Road on behalf of agent Paulson Construction. The lands front onto the east side of Bishopsgate Road, just south of the intersection of Colburn Street and Bishopsgate, and the lands are currently vacant. The lands are designated for employment uses and have site-specific light industrial zoning. The proposal seeks to sever parcel 2, which is shown on the screen, and having an area of about 1.8 acres. The committee will be familiar with these lands as they have been previously at committee to sever off parcel 1, as well as to create access easements in the past. Further development of these sites will be reviewed through site plan control applications. Overall, planning staff are satisfied that the application is consistent with the PPS growth plan and conforms to the official plan and zoning bylaw, and as such, planning staff are recommending approval subject to the attached conditions.
Do any members have any questions for staff at this time? I have one. Just on that map that you have up there, did we approve parcel 1 a couple months ago? Or is it still to be approved?
Through the chair, that's correct. Parcel 1 has been approved by the committee, and access easement has also been approved.
And parcel 2 is the one that we're severing tonight along with the retained lands.
Through the chair, yes, that's correct.
Thank you. I was just a little confused because it's all just corn right now. All right. Is the agent or applicant present for make a presentation or add any details? Please state your name and who you with, please.
Thanks, Kayla. And it's Zach from Paulson Construction. We don't have anything to add, but we're here to answer any questions council may have.
All right, thank you. Do the members have any questions for the agent or applicant here? Appears not to be, so thank you. Are there any public delegations registered to speak to this application? Appears not to be. Is there any final questions or comments for staff or the agent from the members of the committee? It appears that we have no more questions, so I request a mover and seconder to put a motion forward for B8-24-DN. Member Emmett, seconded by Member Schmidt.
24DN be approved with the attached conditions.
Excellent. I will now call the vote. Members, please indicate if you're in favor of the motion. Member Emmett?
Yes.
Member Schmidt?
Yes.
Member Penang?
Yes.
Member Smith?
Yes.
Member Brown?
Yes.
Member Hamilton, yes. Application B8-24DN has been approved. Okay. I will now introduce item 6.4, application A14-24-KD, and turn it to staff for the presentation of the report and the recommendation.
Good evening, everyone. This is a minor variance application for lands located at 35 McVeigh Road within the former geographic township of Brantford. The subject lands are located south of McVeigh Road, west of East Harris Road, and east of Colburn Street East. The subject lands are currently vacant with a total land area of 0.56 hectares with a frontage of approximately 40 meters and a depth of 141.80 meters. The surrounding area consists of rural residential, agriculture, and natural heritage land uses. The subject lands are in rural residential area where development is limited to infilling existing lots of record. The subject lands are designated rural residential within the County of Brant official plan and are currently zoned rural residential within the County of Brant zoning bylaw. The applicant is seeking relief from Section 9, Table 9.2.1 of the County of Brant zoning bylaw to permit a maximum building height of 13.87 meters for a two-story residential building, whereas a maximum building height of 10.5 meters is permitted. The variance is required to accommodate the proposed roof design. I would like to make a note that a comment was received on September 12th by a member of the public mentioning that the proposed building height would not conform to their property as it exceeds the height of their building. The member of the public has also expressed concerns about surface water flow, wind effects, and shadowing. The member of the public has been advised that the proposed site plan and 3D sketches are preliminary and are subject to change as part of the building permit process. The applicant will also need to provide a detailed grading plan to ensure that drainage on adjacent properties is not adversely affected. Should the minor variance for the increased building height get approved, the building staff will ensure that all of the requirements are met so that the building design does not negatively impact neighboring properties. As a result of the minor variance review, staff is of the opinion that the request is in keeping with the general intent of the County of Brant official plan and zoning bylaw. The request is minor in nature and the proposed height increase is not considered to have any negative impact on surrounding residential and non-residential uses. The proposal is also in keeping with the character of the existing development as there are other two-story residential buildings along McVeigh Road. I am recommending approval of the minor variance application number A14-24-KD. Thank you.
Thank you. Are there any questions on this application for staff? I have a question, but I think you'll be able to answer it with. The Development Engineering Department sent on the thing you had up there of the thing. There looked like the side or the driveway was touching the line, and will that be covered under the zoning bylaw? But when they get the building permit, where they'll have to be that minimum distance from the line to where the driveway is?
Through the chair, that's right. The applicant is aware that the current proposed location of the driveway is not permitted, and this will be addressed through the building permit process and will not affect minor variance application.
All right, thank you. Is the agent or applicant present to make a presentation or add any details to this application?
I'm present via Zoom.
Have you got any comments or things you would like to add to what was presented by staff?
I believe the planning staff did a great job of outlining the project there. I know that there was some concerns with the neighbor, and the grading, of course, will meet all OBC and municipal bylaws at time of building permit application. We are aware of that driveway. It is going to be pushed over to meet that 0.6 meters requirement.
Can I just stop you for a sec? Could you please state your name and who you represent?
Sorry.
Please?
Yes, my name is Lloyd Vermeer. I'm with VS Design Studio. I'm acting as the agent on behalf of Babin.
Thank you.
So that is kind of more of an estate lot. So the house is larger than typical, I guess, what you see in a rendered subdivision. But the attempt to bring the height down is there. Like the footprint of this house is very large. So instead of just having like a single pitch and then making it even higher than it currently would be, we introduced like a mansard style roof, which has a dual pitch, kind of bringing that height down. All the efforts are there to not negatively impact the neighbor, which is just a minor relief of the height. So if there's any questions from the neighbor or from council or anybody, I'm here to answer anything that's there.
Thank you. I'm going to ask the members of the committee if they have any questions about this application. Member Smith?
I'll ask through the chair to the applicant. So I'm assuming that some dirt's being brought in because it looks like there's a walkout basement. So is the height actually the actual height from the front of the house to the peak roof? Because the back of the home is walkout, right?
It's from the average grade.
Okay, so it would actually be the average between what that lower grade is in the back of the
That's
house
right, yeah.
versus the front. So technically, in the front of the house is actually not that full 13 point. What is it? Sorry, I just gotta go back to
8.5.
It's not
Yeah.
the full 13.87 at the front of the house. It would actually be a little bit lower because that's kind of taking the average grade.
Yes.
So maybe the front of the house is more like, say, 12 meters?
I'd have to take a look at the drawings, to be honest, just to confirm that.
But it is.
But yeah, it's from the guidelines of the zoning.
Yeah, so it is actually lower than 13.87 at the front of the house, even though some grading is going to happen at the front.
Yeah, grading is going to have to happen for sure.
Thank you.
Does that answer your question, Member Smith?
Thank you.
Thank you. Any other questions from the members? We did have, as was stated, a comment to come in. Is there a public delegation here wanting to speak to this application at the present time? Appears not. All the members have seen the information that was sent in from the individual and had a chance to read it prior to this meeting. Are there any final questions or comments to the staff or the agent at this time on this application? Appears not to be. I then request a mover and a seconder to put in motion forward for A14-24-KD. Member Smith? And Member Schmidt is seconding.
I'll make a motion to approve A1424 as the application for minor variance meets the 4 tests of the Planning Act.
All right. With the 4 tests and all the good things with the County of Brant and all that other zoning bylaws. Thank you. I will now call for a vote. Members, please indicate if you're in favor of the motion. Member Emmett?
Yes.
Member Schmidt?
Yes.
Member Penang?
Yes.
Member Smith?
Yes.
Member Brown?
Yes.
Member Hamilton, yes. Application A14-24-KD has been approved.
Thank you.
You're welcome. All right, I will now introduce item 6.5, application A15-24-NM, and turn it over to staff for the presentation of the report and recommendation.
Thank you. Before I begin the presentation, I would like to confirm that the application is for the civic address 130 Brant Road. The address may not have been appeared clearly on the maps due to the closeness of entrances. The subject lands are located east of Brant Road, north of German School Road, and south of Blue Lake Road. The subject lands have a total area of approximately 0.8 hectares containing 1 single detached dwelling, 1 attached accessory structure, and 1 detached garage. The surrounding area consists of suburban residential, commercial, and natural heritage land uses. The subject lands are designated suburban residential and natural heritage within the County of Brant official plan and are currently zoned suburban residential and natural heritage protection within the County of Brant zoning bylaw. The applicant is seeking relief from Section 4, Table 4.4.1 of the County of Brant zoning bylaw to permit a maximum lot coverage of 180 square meters for accessory structures, whereas a maximum of 140 square meters is permitted. The variance is required to allow for a lean-to space to be added to the existing detached garage for the purpose of additional storage. As a result of the minor variance review, staff is of the opinion that the request is in keeping with the general intent of the County of Brant official plan and zoning bylaw. The request is minor in nature and may not negatively impact adjacent land uses. I am recommending approval of the minor variance application A15-24-NM. Thank you.
Thank you. Do members of the committee have any questions for staff on this application? Appears not. I do have one, but I'll save it for the applicant when it comes. Okay. Is the agent or applicant present to make a presentation or add any details on this request? Come forward, please. State your name and who you are.
Steve Landry, I'm the owner of the property.
Do you have any other comments to make over or what was been presented?
No, I'm just here to answer any questions that you may have.
Thank you. Do any of the members have questions for the applicant here? I do, so I will put one forward. Just wondering, we didn't receive any indication of or drawings as to where this lean-to was going. Is it on the side? Is it to the front or the back? Generally speaking, we do, and I'm just curious if you could just expound a little more on that.
It is actually on the side of the building, so it's going to be the same length and about 18 feet. So 5 feet from the property line. So
on the north side or the south side?
North side.
North side. Okay, so as you look in your driveway,
yeah, if you were
it would be on the left hand side of the building.
Straight down my driveway, you would see that addition. But
yeah,
it'd be tough to see because it's fairly far back. So
yeah, yes. That's fair. The second, what are you going to be using this lean-to for mainly?
A storage.
Of what?
My boat.
Okay.
I have an issue with my boat has a radar arch. When it sits on the trailer, it sits a little too high for my shop that I do have now. So for me to fix the shop, I'd have to destroy most of it. So it's just easier to put a lean-to and have the extra storage.
Thank you. Are there any public delegations registered to speak against this application? Appears not. I would like to request a mover and seconder to put a motion forward on application A15-24-NM. Member Penang?
I'd like to make a motion to approve application number A15-24-NM be approved with attached conditions.
All right, and it's minor in nature and meets it. And seconded by Member Emmett. Thank you. I will now call the vote. Members, please indicate if you're in favor of the motion. Member Emmett?
Yes.
Member Schmidt?
Yes.
Member Penang?
Yes.
Member Smith?
Yes.
Member Brown?
Yes.
Member Hamilton, yes. So application A15-24-NN has been approved. All right. I will now introduce item 6.6, application A12-24-HH, and turn it over to staff for the presentation of the report and recommendation.
Thank you. This is a minor variance application for lands located at 1377 Highway 54 within the former geographic township of Onondaga. The subject lands are located south of Highway 54 and north of Grand River. The subject lands have a frontage of approximately 232 meters, a depth of 616.59 meters, and a total area of 13.4 hectares. The subject lands include one single detached two-story farmhouse, one detached garage, and one barn. The subject lands are currently serviced by a private cistern and septic system. The surrounding area consists of agriculture and natural heritage land uses. The subject lands are designated agriculture and natural heritage within the County of Brant official plan and are currently zoned agriculture and natural heritage within the County of Brant zoning bylaw. The application is seeking relief from Section 4, Table 4.4.1 for a maximum accessory structure height of 10 meters, whereas 7 meters is permitted. The minor variance application is required to facilitate the conversion of the existing farmhouse to an additional residential unit with a new primary dwelling to be constructed in place of the existing barn. I would like to make a note that staff have received a comment from a member of the public expressing concerns about the potential housing of livestock. Staff can confirm that the proposal does not intend to accommodate any livestock. As a result of the minor variance review, staff is of the opinion that the request is in keeping with the general intent of the County of Brant official plan and zoning bylaw. The request is minor in nature and the proposed increased structure height will not negatively impact surrounding residential and non-residential uses, as this building has been existing for many years. I'm recommending approval of the minor variance application A12-24-HH. Thank you.
Thank you. Are there any questions to staff on this application? Does not appear to be. Is the agent or applicant present, and would they like to come forward? Please state your name and who you are.
Good evening. My name is Christine Brown, and I am the agent/applicant on behalf of the homeowners.
Do you have anything more to add versus what staff has put forward on this application?
Not unless there's any questions. There really isn't anything else we need to add.
Okay, thank you. Do members of the committee have any questions for the agent here? Doesn't appear to be. Oh, I'm sorry.
You can pass me if you'd like, but I'm going to ask it. Through the chair to the applicant, so maybe a couple questions. I guess what's the time frame for building the new primary dwelling, and will there be a new septic and a well for that?
There's going to be new septic and cistern to service the new dwelling, and the time frame is ASAP. We're going to go for permit as soon as we get this approval, if we get this approval.
Thank you.
Any other questions from members of the committee? I will try again to say we'll leave it and go forward. All right then. Is there a public delegation to this or anybody wanting to make comments? Doesn't appear to be. And are there any final questions or comments either for the staff or for the applicant/agent? All right, we will then, I will request a mover and a seconder to put a motion forward for A12-24-HH. Member Emmett? And seconded by Member Penang.
Member Penang, that application A12-24-HH be approved, subject to the conditions on the application.
Okay, and because it's minor in that and fulfills the official plan and the zoning bylaws. Okay, I will now call for a vote. Members, please indicate if you're in favor of the motion. Member Emmett?
Yes.
Member Schmidt?
Yes.
Member Penang?
Yes.
Member Smith?
Yes.
Member Brown?
Yes.
Member Hamilton? Yes. Application A12-24HH has been approved. All right, we will continue on with our final application for tonight. I will introduce item 6.7, application FV2-24, and turn it over to staff for the presentation of the report and recommendation.
Good evening, committee. This is a request for a decision on a fence variance application pursuant to the County of Brant Fence Bylaw 135-23. The applicant is seeking relief for maximum fence height as per Section 5, Table 5.1.1. So the property is located at 45 Broadway Street East in Paris, and the subject lands are located on the east side of Broadway Street, north of the driveway for 180 Grand River Street North, and south of the driveway for 182 Grand River Street North. The land is designated urban residential within our official plan, and the property is zoned heritage area, residential signals, and semis. So due to the nature of the lot configuration, the rear yard for 45 Broadway Street East is subject to front yard fence heights, thus restricting the allowable height of the fence to 3 feet. Section 2.9 of the fence bylaw defines the blue outlined areas as the front yards. And section 3.12 of the fence bylaw outlines the most restrictive requirements shall apply where adjacent yards are classified differently, which is why these are classified as front yards. So the applicant is seeking a fence variance for a 7.5 feet, 2.28 meter fence to be permitted along the property lines outlined in red, whereas a permitted max fence height is 3 feet. The reasons for this fence variance include family safety and security and privacy. It has been noted that sightlines for this proposal are not a concern of county staff, and the width of the driveway will continue to provide appropriate driveway width at 2.8 meters. It is recommended to be built slightly off the property line onto the applicant's land. In summary, staff are supportive of this proposal due to the nature of the request and the interpretation of the fence bylaw with regards to the lot configuration. A notice of objection was received from property owners or neighboring property owners. The appellant's property abuts 45 Broadway Street to the east and their access driveway running along the south property line. The appellant's objections to the proposed fence are as follows. It restricts the use of the driveway. South property line appears to run within the driveway of 180 Grand River Street. There's concern of sight lines, and the current fence is in violation of the bylaw. Thank you.
Okay. Are there any questions from the members to the staff on this application? Member Emmett?
Through you to staff, just a clarification. So we know the front yard for the properties on Grand River. What's the backyard or front yard to the property on Broadway then?
Through the chair, the interpretation of the fence bylaw considers the backyard at 45 Broadway to have front yard restrictions to the fence, which is why it's interpreted as such.
Does that answer your question, or do you have a secondary question to go with it?
That'll do for now.
Thank you. Any other members have any questions to staff at this current time? Member Smith.
Maybe through the chair to staff. When was the fence bylaw last updated? Just wondering if the definitions there are consistent with the zoning bylaw for the yards. So I don't need an exact date, just wondering if it's recent.
Through you to the chair, or through you, chair, to you. The fence bylaw was redone last year. The definition of a front yard is defined differently from the zoning bylaw to prepare for sightline restrictions and driveways, so that the two are different, specifically for road use, entrance, and fence obstructions, if that helps.
Okay, thanks.
Does that answer your question?
Yeah, I just want to know if they're consistent or not. So, okay, thank you.
All right. Any other questions from the members to ask staff at this time? Member Penang?
Did I hear that the current fence is in the violation of the bylaw?
Through the chair. That's correct.
How long that fence has been there?
Through the chair, I don't have an answer for you.
I think it was built in 2022. I could be wrong. We can ask the owners of that question at a later, when they have their opportunity.
Thank you.
All right, in this situation here, the appellant will come first and state whatever they have for the comments on the fence variance that has been put forward. So if there's the appellant is here and wishes to speak, please come forward, state your name and where you live, and then we'll go from there.
Hi, my name is Monique Price Isaacs. I live at 180 Grand River Street North in Paris with my 83-year-old father, Richard Isaacs, and my 2 teenage daughters. My property lies behind the Drinkle property at 45 Broadway Street East, and my driveway, accessible from Broadway Street East, is adjacent to the Drinkle property. I look after my elderly father with the assistance of personal service workers who come to our home throughout the day and the night. Accordingly, there are many people using our driveway each day. I'm opposing the Drinkles variance request to replace an existing 4.5-foot chain link fence that they installed only 2 years ago in 2022 with a newer 7.5-foot fence located on the disputed property line. I will summarize my reasons. First, the proposed new location would see the new fence encroach on my driveway, which the Drinkles claim overlaps their property. I want to point out at the outset that my driveway has been in place over 60 years and used as the driveway to my house for all of that time. I note that the law of adverse possession in Ontario states that a portion of another's land can be claimed when the claimant can prove uninterrupted use of that land for a minimum of 10 consecutive years prior to the property's conversion to the land title system in 1990. The survey I have from 1965 shows that the driveway has been present for at least 25 years prior to the conversion to the land title system. Despite claims to the contrary, I have a clear right to claim my driveway as my property. It has never been in use by the occupants of 45 Broadway Street East. Furthermore, approving this variance request will negatively impact my ability to use my driveway and will render it unsafe. My driveway is already very long and narrow. It is approximately 10 feet wide and bordered on one side by the Drinkle fence and the 8-foot-high wall of cedar trees behind the fence, and on the other side, a really steep 6-foot deep gully. If the chain link fence is removed and replaced with the proposed higher fence, it will further reduce the width of my driveway, making it impossible for my elderly father to get in and out of our car on our driveway. My father uses a rollator walker or wheelchair, and I already have to park very close to the fence to provide him with enough room to get safely in and out of the car. Approval of this request on the edge of my driveway will force me to widen a portion of my driveway to provide a drop-off spot for my father. This would involve building a retaining wall and filling in the gully, and I've procured a quote for this work. At almost $30,000, it would be prohibitively expensive. The current chain link fence has a low wooden extension which angles in towards my driveway, and it cannot be seen in a rearview mirror. Together, fence and extension create a visual distraction for drivers. 4 people have already bumped the wooden fence extension while backing out of the driveway, and professional drivers, such as an ambulance attendants, have also commented on the difficulty navigating the driveway. This variance will only amplify the problem. Before I close, I want to briefly respond to the summary of reasons the Drinkles have used to support their application. All but 2 of those reasons refer to their neighbor, and without going into irrelevant detail, I will simply say that I direct my snow into the gully next to my driveway. I have never deliberately placed anything in their yard that does not belong to them, and then I have done so neatly, and my security cameras outside my house are trained on my property exclusively for my father's security in my absence, and they lack the range to reach the Drinkles' house. I note, however, that the Drinkles also have security cameras, at least one of which is on my side of the fence where I park my car, purporting to protect what they claim as their property on my side of the fence. As for their other reasons, I've seen no evidence that their dog is unsafe, and the cedar trees and the high back fence offer lots of privacy, and a swimming pool does not require a 7.5-foot fence. While their reasons are without substance, there is another not in their application. Several months ago, on the advice of the OPP, I applied for a peace bond against Mrs. Drinkle. While we were waiting for our hearing, Mrs. Drinkle communicated through her lawyer that if I didn't drop the peace bond application, she would move her fence to the edge of my driveway. I didn't drop the application. It was unsuccessful, but the Drinkles are just following through on their threat. Finally, and as an aside, I have pointed out to the neighbor at 182 that the fence that the Drinkles are requesting on the north side of their home appears to encroach on his property. I see he's not here, but I draw that to your attention. And in closing, if you are going to approve the variance, the approval must include a modification so that no part of the fence is located on my property, including cement footings for the fence posts. If the fence is going to be set back from the property line, the setback should be sufficient to permit the Drinkles to be able to maintain their fence and grass without having to trespass on 180 Grand River Street North, please.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Now, I would ask if the applicant is present to come up and state what they want with this variance, please. Please give your names and address, please.
Yep. My name is Karen Drinkle. I live at 45 Broadway Street East in Paris.
I'm Glenn Drinkle, also at 45 Broadway Street East in Paris.
Thank you.
We are asking for the height to be changed, just so our property can be like everybody else's cookie cutter kind of property, with having the right to have a high fence if we like. Because, and we moved here in 2001, or 2021, sorry. When we moved in, there was no fence there. We contacted Brant County Planning told us that we were allowed to put a fence on the property, that we didn't need any permits or anything, and that was fine. We could do whatever height we wanted.
they said that was fine. They told us we should get a survey to verify our property line, which we did. We talked to the survey company. They said to put up the, to spike it, that's all we needed to do. They would do a report. So with the guidance of them, we decided to put up our fence. We put up our fence. They also said to talk to our neighbor, which we did, and we discussed the whole thing. So when we put up our fence in 2022, May, we put it inside the property line because various things that for her driving, backing up would go on our property. It's not really the point. The point is that the reasons we want the fence is so we can have our own privacy, and we feel that with the actions of our neighbor, it's very necessary for us to gain back our portion of property that we left on the other side of the fence. So we have a fence here at the back corner. There's 16 inches that we own, and at the front of the chain link fence, it's 22, and then it narrows down to our small fence. So we've had to maintain that, and because of the restrictions and awkward communication or with Monique, we can't go down there to maintain our property. So we just want to move our fence and get a height restriction and height variance. Sorry, I'm nervous. It's a nervous thing. So we're just asking for permission to have our property and that we own and keep it now. That's all we want. We want to take it back so we can maintain it and not have any problems.
So a couple of things just to add to that. If we do not get the variance and we have to have a lower fence, that's not going to keep our dog in our yard. We're going to have to take our dog into our own backyard to let him outside. We want to have our swimming pool for our children put back up with a 3-foot fence. We can't have a swimming pool in the yard. We just want our property to be usable. We want to have that enjoyment of this beautiful big property that we purchased. We wouldn't be able to do that with only a 3-foot fence in the yard. And another thing that this variance is for the height of the fence. It's not to do with the property line. Everybody that we've talked to with Brant County has told us any fence is allowed to go on a property line. So this variance is really only for the height. That's what we're asking for.
Okay, thank you. And just before, go ahead.
Can I add just one more thing?
Yes.
Okay, so we put in the application, we were told it was approved, and then shortly after, we were told it was appealed. Since the appeal, Monique has constructed a higher fence than what we're asking permission
On one
for.
of the property lines that we're requesting variance for, she's already constructing a higher structure.
So I'm just,
All
I
right.
just
Well,
wanted to
thank you.
put that in there.
Thank you for that. What I'd like to charge the committee with is tonight, regardless of some of the things that we've heard right now, we are here to do a thing that will say, are we going to accept the application to build a fence 7.5 feet tall, or are we going to refuse it, or are we going to refer it to a later date but we need reasons if we do that. So all I'm saying is that is what we're doing. So does the committee have any questions for the applicant at this time? Member Smith.
Through the chair, the survey is done. They've tagged the bars. Everyone understands from a legal perspective where the property line is. No lawyers have been involved to this point. We're simply relying on regarding the location of the property line, where that driveway is. So that is simply based on the survey that's been completed.
So yes, so
Right?
the survey, yes, and then we did when we went to the Peastone thing, there was a lawyer, they talked about it.
Yeah.
So.
And I suppose regarding the access, just to maybe lay it out a little bit simpler. So because it's a through lot and there's double access for your neighbor, technically her driveway is in the backyard, but we have to call it a front yard because it has a smaller frontage. So logistically speaking, you technically do have a backyard. It's just being treated like your neighbors have front yards beside you. So
Yes.
in a way, it technically still is a backyard. It's just becoming an issue of the access. And I think too, just so I completely understand, there is a chain link fence along the driveway currently. When, say you get approval to build the taller fence, that taller fence is basically going right where that chain link fence is, which is right within the property line, from your understanding?
So the chain link now is not. It is on our side by 16 inches and 22 at the front.
So where would the
completely on our
wooden
property.
fence, it would go a little bit closer into her
It's going to be a
driveway?
chain link fence still, and
Okay.
we're just going to move it
onto the property
onto
line.
the property line, just like on our side of the property line.
But it's still within your property.
And we have
In-
another
yeah.
reason why we want to move it onto the property line. There's grass that grows between the fence and the driveway on that side of it. That is on our property still. That grass got very long because we were not permitted by Monique to go down the driveway to maintain it. She phoned bylaw to put in a complaint about the grass getting too long. So bylaw came, we explained to them that we can't go down there. We were told by the bylaw that we are allowed to go down there to maintain it. So I said with him present, we would go do that. So we did. And then the police were called to say we were trespassing because we went down there. That happened 2 times this summer.
So I guess just for the committee's sake, so I fully understand, how much further, like give or take inches, will it be more into the driveway in comparison to the chain link fence? Just so I fully understand. Half a
So-
foot?
No, so right now, her driveway is there, and there's like dirt and grass where we had it put.
Yep.
So it's basically on that line of the grass and dirt,
How
and then
many
her
inches is
driveway is
that?
there.
So her driveway technically will not be impacted because it's still going on the dirt portion.
Well, no, because
Yes.
the driveway encroaches already over the property line.
So, and I understand.
The actual-
Really, at the end of the day, it matters where the property line
Her
is. I'm not,
actual
I just
asphalt
want to
is
make
the
sure
same.
that she, regardless of where the fence goes, there's still enough room to park a car.
Yes, there is.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions from the committee to the applicant?
I have one.
All right, MJ, go ahead, please.
I noticed on the application that is on page 177 of 199, that is the application as filled out by Karen and Glenn Drinkle. It shows chain link, but in the summary and from conversations I've gleaned, is the fence to be wooden or chain link?
Chain link.
There's
7.5 feet. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you.
Any other questions from the committee?
I have a question for staff, and I was just curious on it since we've dealt with so many minor variances on applications for setbacks. So correct me if I'm wrong. So for a fence, there is no requirement for a setback from the property line to allow for maintenance. Is that correct? So the fence goes exactly along the property line without any consideration for setbacks either way.
Through the chair, so it's my understanding that the fence can be placed directly on the property line, although it is recommended to be slightly inset onto the applicant's property. But just a reminder to the committee that the location is a civil matter, and so planning staff won't be getting into the location specifically of the fence.
I just wanted to check there wasn't a bylaw which governed it like there is other areas for the Planning Act. Thank you.
All right, so we've heard lots here. We are here on a technical issue of strictly raising the height of the fence. Anything else is a civil matter. We do have the people from bylaw control. Do you have anything you would like to make a comment on at the present time? All right, thank you. So basically, it comes down to the members here to go ahead and make a decision of the application to raise the fence to 7.5 feet or to turn it down. You had your opportunity. We had the 10 minutes, and that's where it sits.
I'll make an application to approve fence variance application FV 224.
To approve or?
Approve.
Approve. Seconder?
I have a question. Are there any conditions? Because as a committee, we can impose conditions.
I don't believe we can on this on the fence one. It's separate than the zoning one, I believe, MJ.
Okay, thank you.
Looking for a seconder?
I can second.
All right, we now have a motion. Can you, Member Smith, put a motion forward, please?
Make a motion to approve fence variance application FV 224 as presented in the report.
Be approved. Seconded by MJ Brown.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I know we have the request for that. I will now call the vote. Members, please indicate in favor of the motion. Member Emmett?
Yes.
Member Schmidt?
Yes.
Member Penang?
Yes.
Member Smith?
Yes.
Member Brown?
Yes.
Member Hamilton? Yes. The application, fence application FV-24 has been approved. All right, going on. We're going on to item number 7, other business. Wanting to let everybody know, following the adjournment of the October 17th Committee of Adjustment meeting, a forestry training session with members and staff will take place. All right, item 8, next meeting. Chair, the next meeting is scheduled to be October the 17th, 2024, and will be a hybrid meeting starting at 6 p.m. Item 9, may I get a motion to adjourn this meeting? Member Emmett? Seconded. Member Schmidt? Okay. Would you like to put the motion forward, please?
Moved by myself and second by Member Schmidt that the meeting of September the 19th, 2024 be adjourned.
All right, all those in favor?
Yes.
Thank you, MJ.